injuries, we saw Carlisle running around last week already. Can you just talk about?
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's caught the ball today. We had him on the jugs. He's just he's anxious to get back in there, running around well. So, that injury, is just simply when that calcification takes place and that bone growth, and that's 4 weeks. So he's probably going to be a guy that's right at that 4 weeks where he could probably do something. So he'll still miss spring ball, but he's involved in everything. He's doing everything but contact. So it's really, other than missing contact and scrimmage, this won't be a step back for him.
Is it unfair just because he's had an injury history to wonder if he's going to hold up?
Well, I think those questions are fair, but I think where I concern myself more with relative to injuries is how you handle them, and he's bounced right back in there. So mentally he's strong, where he's a guy that is not going to be afraid to go right back in there and play. And, if it's unfortunate that he gets another injury, it is what it is, but I've always felt like it's mentally, are you ready to go back in there? And he was ready about 5-6 days after surgery, so we won't think much about it other than he wants to get back in there and go.
Brad, how would you describe Will Mahomes' game? What does he bring to the field, and what does he need to work on?
Well, I think the offense, understanding the offense, because he's more than just he's used to being a downhill, 25 carry from the eye back, and he's got a lot more things going on. He's lining up in the slot, and he's got to catch the ball out of the backfield. I'd say that's a big learning curve for him. He runs the ball well, though. I mean, he'll go downhill. He'll run the ball with some physicality, I guess is the right word, in terms of his style. And we were looking for a bigger back, which we got with him. And he continues to mature and learn the offense more. But he's going to be a bigger back for us that down the road I think we can put him between the tackles and he can get some things done for us.
You've got so many running backs there. Somebody has to finish first. Somebody has to
Right.
finish fifth or whatever.
Yep.
And you've talked about Cam McDaniel and not enough footballs to go around at times. But is there a role for him, if not necessarily as a running back, as more of a slot guy who showed you to catch the ball last year?
Yeah, I think that we've got some flexibility with Amir and Cam in particular, that they can do a lot of those jobs. And, we'll never rule out, playing both of them. If we feel like they're our best 11, the offense is such that, we can have, a George Atkinson and a Amir Carlisle on the field at the same time. Certainly we could have done that last year with Sear and Theo. So if they're our best 11, we can find a way to get both of them on the field.
And Chuck Martin, it's been a couple weeks, I think, since he said that Malik Zaire has really picked up what you're doing offensively. What has your perspective been on how he's handled all that?
Very well. I mean, from the mental end of things, he's in the top group of guys that I've coached that really understands the nuances of the position and, can understand coverages and, rotations and pressures and movement keys and things like that. He's really, really at a high level there. His is simply, we got to tighten him up a little bit, quicker release, got to work on his footwork, the things that we have to work on with Everett, but he's really got a good mind for the game.
Did you know when you recruited a kid, do you know that about him, about his ability to pick things up as rapidly?
Yeah, we were in a meeting last spring when he came up for spring ball, and we had the quarterbacks in there, and it was evident to me that he had a pretty good mind. He was able to engage in the conversation in terms of what we're talking about, so had a good feeling about that early on.
With a group of tight ends that you've got, how similar maybe is that approach to what you're talking about with the running backs as far as multiple guys?
I think it's similar. You could see, I don't think it's far-fetched to see one of those guys split out and one of them attached. And again, we utilized quite a bit of two tight end formations last year as well. So, again, personnel groupings, I think we've got some pretty good depth and flexibility in those groupings. And I think in particular, when you look at, Troy is a guy that, we're not at a level where we can move him like we did Eifert, but he certainly can do some other things as a number 2 receiver, with a tight end attached, and he could be an inside guy. So we do have some flexibility at the tight end position as well.
Alex was saying, he feels like he's moving around pretty well right now. What have you seen?
Yeah, he had a lot of rust coming back, but he's progressively, I think, begin to feel more comfortable. The first thing is you got to get the thought of the knee out of there. And today with the scrimmage, you got a lot of work today in the scrimmage. I think getting through that and knowing that I can go full go and have contact, he was pretty excited to get through today. I think that was a little bit of a hurdle for him mentally.
Brian, Jerron Jones kind of shared his journey with us yesterday, and it was pretty difficult for him. I mean, there was a huge adjustment from high school to college for him.
Yes, there was.
Can you talk about where he is on that right now, where you see him, and when you recruit a guy like that, is there, how can you be sure that he's going to be able to get over that hump?
His mom. There was no doubt about it that his mom has played a central figure in his growth and development. And we had a couple of stumbles with Jerron early on in terms of, routine and discipline and academics. And one phone call home to Rochester really got some things done. So we've had a great relationship with the family. I think Coach Elston's done a terrific job of mentoring him and bringing him along. And I think we felt like he was assimilated to being a Notre Dame student athlete. Probably we started to feel pretty good about it in February. The reports were coming back the way we wanted to see him, and he's pretty comfortable in where he is right now.
And do you feel like he can be a high-end type player? Does he have that kind of athletic ability? Is that the reward with the risk that you took?
Well, we think all these guys that we recruit, are going to be really good players for us. It's always about when, when will he be? But he's going to be a guy that you can't move out of that 4 technique. We never saw him as a dynamic pass rusher, but what we saw was a big, strong, physical kid with good feet and played with a really good motor. So he's going to be a really good player when he obviously gets his opportunity. And he's not at that point where he's going to get a lot of opportunities yet, because we've got some pretty good depth there. But he's going to be counted on for, a handful of plays, and we feel confident that he's big and strong enough to help us.
You crossed the halfway point of spring today with the scrimmage also. At this juncture, what would you say maybe collectively you've learned most about the team, where your strengths might be, and where do you feel most work still?
Well, I think I got to watch the film. It's like anything else. You're there, and it's never as good as you think, never as bad, one of those deals. But our offense is certainly progressing. We're able to move with a better tempo. Everett is obviously a much better leader of our offense, and when your quarterback is leading out there, that's very positive. We've seen growth. Let's put it this way: the guys that were on offense last year that played central roles, we've seen real growth, and I'll just name a couple. It starts with Golson. I think we've seen Zach Martin continue to get better at his position. TJ Jones has been outstanding, and Troy Nicholas has really picked up his play. So for me, I wanted to see the guys that were returning really continue to up their game. I feel good about that. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the things that stand out for me are guys that are getting more of an opportunity. And Jarrett Grace is one of them. I think Ben Council has really stepped up and shown that football is really important to him. So from the defensive standpoint, new players coming in and really showing their game. And then the offense, the guys that are returning have really stepped it up. Now, those are just pieces. We're not, I don't have all 22 yet, feeling like we've got this thing together. But we're moving in the right direction in terms of what I wanted to see.
You mentioned Council, South Spawn had been out at the practice we saw. What's his kind of forecast for spring?
He's doing fine. I mean, he's day to day, but he's out there engaged, and Ben's gotten some work there. Obviously, he's got a lot of physical ability, Ben Council, and now that he's put on the weight and he's stronger. I mean, he's long. He's 6 foot, almost 6'4". So, that's a pretty big kid out there. So, it's been good that he's gotten some work.
He's been Council has been mostly since he came in dog, right? It's kind of helped out that he's been able to stay at that position.
Yeah, he's over there. Yeah, he'll stay out there.
We talked to Coach Easton, he was just kind of mentioning that Connor Hanratty's getting a lot of reps, and we saw him first and second team almost just because of he needs some bodies in the spring. How has that helped him and kind of challenged him?
Yeah, well, it's given him a great opportunity, obviously, to be in there, and one of the things that is so important with that group is to build continuity. So, with the new center, in the right guard position, trying to gain some continuity, and he's been the beneficiary of that. We're going to start to activate Ronnie Stanley more, and we even think that if we continue to move in the right direction, we may even be able to scrimmage him in the spring game. So, we'll get Ronnie in there on the right side and give him an opportunity to start competing too. But it's been a good situation that Connor has been, able to get in there and get a lot of work.
Was Navarez able to participate today?
No, we kept him out today. He has a bruised knee, and it was he was coming off the line, and it was he just kind of jammed it. So he's been a little sore. We're just gonna. I would say probably Wednesday he'll probably start running routes. Wednesday probably back into everything would be my guess. Pretty minor.
What's keeping Spawn out? What's his injury?
He just has had an shoulder, neck, upper body injury. I don't want to call it just the neck. It's been part of his shoulder and neck, and he's just been sore and tight, and we've kept him out of contact. He was fully engaged today. Did everything but contact drills.
How's the experiment with Eshak? You mentioned last time we talked that you were looking at him a little bit as a defensive end. Where's that?
I think that's going to continue to play itself out. I think you're going to see him in nickel situations. Obviously we like his ability to fill in if we need another defensive end. So I think he's going to have the ability to add more plays to his to the game, because he can do both for us, and we feel pretty good about that. So that will continue to unfold, and he'll continue to develop at that position.
What about the development of Aquara?
Yeah.
He's playing dog.
No, he's at cat.
He is a cat.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, he's confused then.
Who is that? Romeo?
Romeo.
Oh, he could be confused. There's no question.
Long-term, where do you see him? Because I know in high school he's a pretty dynamic pass rusher.
Well, he's just a freshman, and he's almost
17,
200.
yeah.
He's 17, he's almost 250.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to just continue to grow. He'll stay at cat because he has the ability to still stand up and move around and get out there and cover situations. But, he also is getting big enough that he can put his hand on the ground.
I was going to say, is he somebody you consider cross-training as well?
I think so. I think both of those guys. If you really look at the cat position and the way it's transformed itself, I think I've mentioned this a number of times. It's 53% and 47%. So cross-training is part of the nature of that position.
Lewis Nix was able to regale us again with some of his entertainment.
How special was that?
How valuable is that maybe to the team? He's somebody who said, he admitted, he's not a rah-rah guy on the sideline, come on guys, let's go. It's like, you suck or whatever. He'll say what's on his mind. How good is that maybe for the locker room or the overall team?
Well, Lewis is his own, personality in itself. He's a fierce competitor. but we're not going to ask him to give any Newt Rockne speeches, either before the game or during the game, and I think he knows that about himself. I think what you're hearing from Lewis is that he's trying to articulate himself as to the kind of player he is. And here's what I will tell you. He does his job. He comes to practice to get better. And he's respected by his teammates because he's a ferocious competitor. And that's what his teammates know about him. So they're not looking for him to be that guy that motivates him. They know on Saturday, and I think if you brought in Zach Martin, for example, right now, he'd say, I can count on that guy on Saturday. All the other stuff that goes on during the week and the chatter and, let Lewis be Lewis. But they know, his teammates know that on Saturday he's a ferocious competitor.
With Stefan, he checked in, the spring roster listed him at 322.
He's a little north of that. He's a little north of that. We're going to get him back down. With the surgery, he wasn't working out. He put on a little weight. Well, Coach Longo will get him down to what we believe is a better number, and he knows that too. But he's practiced really well. Pleased the way he's moving. He's been able to cut loose and really do the things that had kind of encumbered him a little bit last year with that hernia. So good progress there for Stefan, and he'll compete in the spring game too. We'll get some live reps for him too.
For him, like right in that lower 300.
I think he's going to be a natural 315. He's going to be over 300 pounds. He's just a big fella, but he's a little heavy right now. We'll get him down.
Brian, if Lewis isn't the voice on your defense, who is the guy?
Well, that's a good question. I think that's evolving. I think Bennett Jackson is going to be a more vocal voice for us. He hasn't been in a lot of action, so it's hard to, be that guy. But he's very vocal. He's probably one of the most vocal guys we have out there. I still think you've got Calabrese and Fox that have a lot of experience that will speak up. And I think, we've got two guys that really have a great work ethic that lead by the way they practice. Prince Shembo is an incredibly determined practice guy. Every single day he's out there. And Jared Grace. So, we've got a blend back there. Matthias has been a great communicator for us on the field. He's really a kid that acts like a junior or a senior. So we have different pieces that are still, coming together. We're not certainly a finished product there yet.
Coach, how's the linebacker core this spring, and
We'll end it on that one. Go.
how is it going to be replacing Teo?
Well, we've got Fox, Calabrese that both can play inside at the same time. And then you've got Jared Grace, Kendall Moore, are guys that we feel very confident that, give us some pretty good depth at that position. Joey Schmidt, walk-on, has had a very good spring. He's gotten Coach Diaco's attention in the way he has practiced. He's very smart. He's probably, when it comes to the physical end of things, we'd like him a little bigger and a little stronger, but he is such a technician, very smart. He's gotten our attention. So from that standpoint, we feel like we've really got some nice depth and different. We can do some different things as well with the inside backers that we have. So I'd say that's a strength of our team.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks.